What's going on, everyone? It's Voodoo 51292, and welcome to another one of my official game reviews here on the Voodoo 51292 channel. And today we're going to be talking about a very unique game, a kind of a blend between an FPS and some other open world elements, but not really thrown in. It's a very interesting game. And it's also from a developer that was very famous in years past for making very good FPSs on the PC, and that developer would be id Software. And the name of the new IP that we'll be talking about today, the first game of the new IP, is Rage, which I just completed in full tonight, and we're going to talk a little bit about this game. It is very interesting and unique. First of all, let's talk about kind of the style that Rage is. Rage is first and foremost an FPS, but there are definitely things thrown in here that you can tell were from open world style games, but not really employed. Let me explain. Rage is not your typical linear FPS, meaning you're thrown into a plot, you move through levels in a linear course. You can only move where the game tells you to move, and fight enemies till the end. Rage is centered on accepting quests, a lot like some of the other games such as Fallout and Elder Scrolls, and some of those games are like. You accept quests, and you must travel to these locations and perform these quests, and then come and turn them in for some type of reward. But even though that is more of, you know, kind of an open world type of thing, the game isn't really, because there's no experience system in the game. There is no leveling in the game. You don't level up and you don't gain XP. You also cannot find weapons. You cannot take enemies' weapons. So even though it is more open environment, and you have to travel between quest areas, it's not really a open world type of game. And we'll get into that more as we talk about it, but that's just to basically give you a preview of kind of what this game is like as far as gameplay. As far as the plot and setting of the game, it is another one of our favorite post-apocalyptic environments. You don't find out much when you start the game. You just know basically that a meteor has hit the Earth, and obviously that's never a good thing. And in the opening cinematic, you basically find out that you're someone who is stored inside what they call an ark. Basically, you get put into a cryogenic sleep. When they find out the meteor is going to hit Earth, you put in the ark, and you presume that the whole point of this is to preserve human life, some human life, once the meteor hits, and hopefully repopulate the Earth in the future. And the game starts, obviously you wake up, and for some reason things didn't go exactly according to plan. You find out that everybody else in your ark is actually dead, and you're one of the only survivors, and you're kind of cast out into this post-apocalyptic environment. And that's pretty much the plot of the game. If you're looking for a game that has a lot of detailed, deep plot, Rage is not going to be your game, because the plot of Rage really, it seems interesting, but it's never really fulfilled, it's never really fleshed out. It's just kind of, okay, you're here and play the game. A lot of things are not really explained, they're not wrapped up, and plot-wise the game has a big falter there, because there's really not much plot here in this game whatsoever to speak of. So if that's what you're looking for, a great in-depth plot, Rage is not your game. So moving on into the actual gameplay of Rage. And again, kind of like I talked about, I touched on it. And even though the game, like I said, is not your traditional linear FPS, it is still linear in a sense, and here's what I mean. You move basically from town to town, and moving from town to town is a linear path, meaning when you start the game, you start in one town, you do a couple of missions for the people in that town, and then once you do, they send you on a mission to another town, and you kind of forget about that previous town. And it's kind of, that's the way it kind of works. And once you're in this new town, you talk to the people in the new town, you can do missions for them, and once you know you kind of complete those missions, you move on from there. And technically you can go back to past towns, but it's very weird because the game doesn't actually provide you with a whole world map. The only map that you get is a circular map in your top right hand corner that basically shows you, you know, your objective path, where to go to your next objective, but you can't zoom out and get a big open full world map. So technically you could go back to other towns, I guess, but you know, the game doesn't provide you with a map so that you can find your way back. So that's kind of strange. And also, the quests take place in different areas, meaning they may send you on a quest to a abandoned distillery, or they might send you on a quest to a place called the Dead City. And these areas where the quest is located, those areas are linear, meaning there is a linear path through this level that you follow. So even though the game is not your traditional linear FPS, please don't be fooled, because like I thought, you know, when I played this game, the game is at heart a linear FPS, but it's not typical. Now, some of the things you can do, because there is FPS gameplay here, there's also vehicle gameplay. Let's talk about the FPS gameplay at first. What can you do? What kind of guns do you have? How is the game played from an FPS standing? Well, it plays pretty much like your typical FPS. Look down, sight, shoot. What is a little bit different here, like I said, is you can actually pick up and find items while you're on quests. And these things may be parts to build things, which I'll talk about, or they might just be junk. And the game tells you, hey, this is just junk, sell it. And you can sell all of it and just make money at the town vendor. Now, what I talked about stuff that you can build is you can actually engineer things in the game, which is a nice touch. You have to find schematics. You can either buy these schematics, or sometimes you get the schematics as reward for quests, or sometimes you just find them laying around. Once you have the schematics, you can build all sorts of different things. And you find the parts to do that scattered, you know, around quest areas or things like that. So you can pick up small gears, maybe an electronic wire kit, something like that, and you can put it together and make an RC bomb car out of it. Or you can find bandages and antiseptic you can find cloth rags and antiseptic formula, and you can make bandages. So that's kind of cool that there is engineering in the game, and you can find these things. You don't have to make things, you can sell them, and stuff like that. So that's kind of a unique part of the game. The weapons are to be honest, are pretty standard. You got, you know, a pistol, a shotgun, a couple of different assault rifles, a sniper rifle, a rocket launcher, and like a crossbow. And the nice thing about these, though, is that you can buy mods for them. You can buy attachments for them at stores. Over time, these things unlock, and you can buy the upgrades to them. You can buy like a laser sight for your gun or something like that. And each gun has 4 different ammo types, which is also nice that you can choose from. You've got normal shots, and then you usually have some kind of armor-piercing shots, and then it just ranges on the type of weapon. But you've got 4, unique ammo types for each gun. Well, maybe not for each gun. I don't think the sniper rifle has 4 different kinds. I don't think the rocket launcher does either, but you've got different ammo types for most of your guns. You've got multiple ammo types, which is nice. So that's a part of it. Another thing I do want to talk about, it's FPS, meaning you don't get to, there's no class you choose at the beginning, there's no perks, there's no abilities, there's nothing like that. Like I'm telling you, at its heart, it is a linear FPS, and that's really all I can say about the game from that standpoint. And let's talk a little bit about the graphics in the game, because there's a lot of debate back and forth about this. The graphics of Rage are absolutely beautiful. The detail on these graphics is unbelievable. The character models are some of the best character models I've ever seen in a video game. I mean, each character looks unique, each character looks amazing, and there's a good variety of enemies in the game. You've got a bunch of different clan members, and each clan has its own particular look, their own particular locale, their own particular fighting style, and each individual member of a particular clan looks unique and different. You're really not going to get a big sense of generic enemies, except maybe some of the mutants and stuff in the game. But when you fight these bandits and things like that, they are extremely unique looking. Again, like I said, each kind of clan has its own locale, and you won't just be fighting clan. You'll be fighting, you know, members of the Authority, which are basically these this organization that's kind of oppressing everyone, and you're part of the game is you're fighting it, you know, back against the Authority. They're like all armored out. They look awesome. Again, mutants, which are just like feral, you know, creatures, and everything just looks very amazing, highly detailed and textured. Each enemy looks amazing. Each environment looks amazing. And the game actually runs on console, I played this on PS3, at a smooth 60 frames per second throughout. No matter how much is going on the screen, for me the frame rate only dipped one time in one little area for some unexplained reason. Other than that, it was smooth 60 FPS, which is an incredible experience. You don't get to do that often on a console. You know, usually you need a gaming PC. But this game, 60 frames per second. Now the problem with the graphics is that there is severe pop-in issues, and this is across all platforms, PC and consoles, where basically pop-in textures, meaning you turn and look at something quickly, it's very blurry, and then it'll pop in the textures and load. You look back to the right, blurry, and then it'll pop in the detailed textures. You look back to the left again, and it's blurry and pop in. It's very annoying and distracting, and it's something that they really should have probably fixed in a game in 2011. But I guess if you're going to run those amazing graphics with 60 FPS, you're going to suffer. But at the same time, it's annoying, and it detracts, I think, from the visuals of the game. So yeah, not too much else to say about, the FPS gameplay. I do want to talk about the health system, and things called quick use items, before we move on. Let's talk about the quick use items first. Quick use items are basically things that you can use instantly, and there's kind of like a wheel of these items, and you can assign them to the D-pad. And basically the way you use it is you select which one on the D-pad, and then on PlayStation 3 you hit L2, and that uses your quick use item. Now quick use items has a variety of things. It could be bandages to help you out when you're taking damage. It could be sentry turrets. It could be grenades. It could be RC bomb cars. Any of those things. A special weapon called a wing stick, which is a unique part of the game, a unique weapon. It's basically like a three-pronged boomerang with blades, and you throw it, and if you throw it right, you can cut somebody's head clean off with it. All those things are called quick use items, and you know, you could, like, again, you select which one you want to be active with your D-pad, and then when you want to use it, you just tap L2, and it either uses the bandage like that, or that's your grenade button, or something like that. So those are quick use items. Now, the health in the game, it's your normal bleeding out effect, regenerating health, in most modern FPSs, but there's a little hitch there, where if you die, you don't necessarily just drop dead. You have something called defibrillator, and I know that the mechanism works different on PC and console, but on console what happens is basically it pops up a left and right thumbstick, and for each one it has, you know, 3 directions. So up left corner, left down, like that, and then, you know, it's like 3 different positions for each thumbstick. And when the defibrillator comes on, you can, you know, it'll highlight directions, one on the left stick, one on the right stick, and you have to move in that right direction and click L2 and R2. And what that does is it starts filling up a little bar in the meter, and it's kind of a quick-paced thing. You know, you do it 2 more locations, flick and do it, and it fills up a health bar in the middle. And once the health bar either fills up, or once the time runs out, Then it goes to a second mini game where it's basically these two icons moving back and forth like this, and then they have two stationary icons on the thing. And the point is you're supposed to click L2 and R2 when the moving ones are as close to the stationary ones as possible. And depending on how close they are, that tells you how much health you can gain back. And also when it gives you health back, it shocks all the enemies around you and sometimes kills a lot of them. And that way if you're getting mauled by enemies, it kind of shocks them and gives you a second to breathe, which is good. So that's basically the FPS gameplay. Now, when the defibrillator uses, it does take a significant amount of time to recharge. So if you get killed while your defibrillator is recharging, you obviously don't get to use the defibrillator, and you are dead. And you have to go back to your last save or last checkpoint. By the way, save often because you're going to need to. So that's the deal. Now the vehicle gameplay is honestly not that exciting. You use a vehicle basically to travel between quest destinations. That's really the core use of the vehicle. Now you can upgrade your vehicle, and you have to do this sometimes for quests. Each vehicle is highly customizable, meaning you can use different weapons, themes for the car, everything else, and you can upgrade your weapons, you can upgrade your tires, all this kind of stuff. The way you do that is you participate in races. In the towns. You can do special types of races, just you, or you're racing against other people using combat or things like that. And if you win these races, you're awarded what they call race certificates, and you can redeem these for upgrades to your vehicle. There's also other things you can do with it, like there's special quests for like this mail service where you can go and deliver mail in a certain amount of time. But to be honest with you, I wasn't impressed with the vehicle gameplay. I only did the bare minimum of what I had to do with the vehicles just to progress in the game, and I was perfectly fine. Maybe if the driving controls had been better in the game, I would have enjoyed it more, but since the driving controls were bad, the car didn't handle well, it kind of made the whole experience, you know, just, I don't know, not that great. The vehicle combat's not that good because you can't control the car very well. So if you like the driving in the game, you can go ahead and do all the races and upgrade your car and do all this stuff. But for me, I didn't do it, and I was perfectly fine. So if you don't like the racing in the game, don't worry about it. It's not mandatory to beat the game. So that's pretty much the campaign. There were some bugs I found in the campaign, some weird bugs, like sometimes getting stuck in an area where you couldn't move, or sometimes if you were getting shot a lot, your character would start bouncing up and down for some reason, and then you would just die, and you were like, what the hell was that? So there were a few bugs here and there. Overall, it wasn't too bad, but that's pretty much the single-player campaign of Rage. I know that took me a lot of time to talk about, but there were a lot of things to say about it. So now let's move on to, we've got competitive multiplayer and co-op gameplay. Competitive multiplayer, there's not much to say here. They really effed up. And for some odd reason, there's no competitive FPS multiplayer mode. It is all the vehicle mode. It's all competitive driving games. And I played about 5 matches and got really bored and said, screw it, I don't care anymore, and just didn't finish it. Didn't play any more of it because it was highly boring. That's all the multiplayer is driving games, and they're not even good. So, if you're looking for good competitive multiplayer here for FPS gameplay, there isn't any. I don't know what to tell you. I think they really messed up. They could have made it a great multiplayer experience with the FPS gameplay, but they just chose not to do that. Now, the co-op gameplay is pretty interesting. There's 9 levels. It's 2-player co-op, and there's 9 levels that you can play, where basically they're like quests like from the game. And they're varied. They go through different maps. Sometimes the maps are used more than once, but the scenarios are different. They mix up the type of enemies, from the Authority to different bandit gangs to mutants and things like that. And I actually played a good amount of it with my friend Brandon on actually tonight, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty fun. I thought it added something to the game. where, you know, it's fun. It's always more fun to play games with your friends. And the co-op mode I thought was pretty good. It's decent content, you know, 9 levels of gameplay, and I thought it was pretty unique and fun. And that's FPS, that's not driving, that's all FPS gameplay. I enjoyed it, and we had some laughs, and it was overall pretty fun. Basically, you know, each partner gets 2 defibrillator charges, but you also have the ability to revive each other. And of course, if you both use both of your defibrillator charges and then you both die, then you lose the level. Or some levels there's a time limit, and if you don't finish it in the time limit, then you fail the level. But overall, I thought it was pretty fun. So, to wrap it all up and give the game a score, final things to say. Okay, Rage is unique in its presentation. It's unique kind of in the way that it does things. But unfortunately for me, it wasn't unique enough, and it was kind of a letdown. I was expecting a game a lot like a Fallout or an Elder Scrolls where, you know, they'd have an XP system, a level up system, you know, more of an open world environment than the game really was. And to be honest, at its heart, it's still a linear FPS. There's a linear set of quests that you need to follow with a couple of side quests here and there that you can do. But mainly, it's linear sets of quests, linear levels. But that being said, it was enjoyable. I had fun playing Rage. Again, in my opinion, it wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it was fun. I really liked the graphics, except for the pop-ins. I really liked the smooth FPS. I liked the variation in the enemies, the variation in locations. Some quest variation would have been nice. Basically, there's 2 types of quests in the game. Either go to an area and kill everything that moves, or go to an area, kill everything that moves, and get something. Those are basically the 2 quest types. So it would have been nice to have some variation of quest types. The driving in the game really for me didn't add anything. I wouldn't say that it took away a whole lot simply because I didn't do it. I didn't have to do it. It would have been a lot worse for the game if they required you to do multiple of these annoying, you know, not multiple, if they required you to do many of these annoying races to proceed in the game. But it's good that they didn't require it. You can do the bare minimum and you really don't pay a price for it. So it's really just something added if you like it. If you don't like it, it's really not that big of a deal. The multiplayer was horrible. It sucked. They really could have done better. And the co-op was pretty good. It was pretty fun, and I enjoyed it, and I think it adds something to the game. So, with all of that being said, my final score for Rage, I have to give it... Oh, before I do, let me let you know about the length. Again, with me doing the bare minimum of the racing and everything, it took me about 9 hours of gameplay to beat it. If you did everything, it could probably go anywhere from 10 to 12 hours. So that's about the length. So pretty decent length campaign, especially for an FPS. So my final rating for Brink, I will give it a score of a 7.8. It's good. It's not great. It doesn't really do anything groundbreaking. There are some annoying things about it, and honestly, it's, you know, as far as gameplay-wise and everything else, we've seen it before. We've seen the post-apocalyptic environment before. The game has no plot, really, which is a downer. If it had a great plot, it probably would have gone into the 8s. If it had a good multiplayer, it probably would have gone into the 8s. But it had neither of those things. So it sits at a 7.8. It's definitely not a bad game. I don't particularly think it's worth a purchase simply because there's not a lot of replayability value here because the multiplayer is so bad. I would suggest this game more as a rental, but I would recommend it definitely as a play. I think it's enjoyable. I had fun playing the game, but after all of the flashiness and all is taken away, it's stuff we've seen before. It's stuff we've played before. So that's that. Okay, that's it for my official review of Rage. I hope you found it helpful. I know there's probably a lot of misconceptions about this game. I had misconceptions going in about what type of game it was going to be. You know, so I hope that this helped clear up some people's confusion if they really didn't understand what this game really was, and help you if you were thinking about buying it or not. Okay. So I'm Voodoo52182, thanks for watching. Please feel free to rate the video and comment, tell me what you thought. And I will see you guys next time in my next game review. Thanks.